Hey everyone, this is a video guide to speedrunning the housing units Bastion variant in Minecraft Java 1.16.1. Housing is by far my favorite Bastion type to run of the four. It's just really consistent, and in speedrunning, that's really what you need from a Bastion. So it's always has 9 gold blocks at the same position on the bottom side here every time. Housing units has plenty of piglins throughout the whole structure to trade with. And you're always going to have 5 chests to loot. So um, really consistent. I think the other bastions, sometimes you just get a bad one and it's just going to take you 4 minutes or so. But housing, as long as there's no lava or really disastrous things going on, should be doable in about 2.5 minutes every time, unless you get super unlucky with your pearl rates. Yeah, this video is going to be broken up into 4 sections, just like all the others. First one is a speedrun example, where I speedrun the Bastion in about 2 minutes. And then we're going to talk about structure, routing, and some tips and tricks for this one. So this one should be pretty quick. It's a pretty simple structure to understand. Once you've seen it a couple times, you'll pretty much get the idea. The route is just going to be finding the gold blocks at the bottom, trading those off as quickly as possible, and coming back up, getting chests, and then just going back down, collecting all the stuff here, and then pearling out. So this one, you can kind of make your own route. You can kind of put your own spin on this one because the basics of it are pretty simple. I've seen it ran many different ways, and they're all good. So yeah, when you're pearling out, just got to be careful you don't hit any piglins or zombie pigment because they will aggro, so a little careful there. But yeah, good amount of pearls here. Still have some gold to trade, but if I wanted to wait longer, but that's plenty. Obsidian, at least 10, almost a stack of string, plenty of arrows. So yeah, let's get right into structure. So housing unit structure follows the same idea as the other bastions, where there's a lower section and then an upper section. In this case, the lower section are the housing units themselves, and the upper section is made up of just 2 ramparts. So whereas in Hogland stables, the stables are a bit wider, they can fit 3 ramparts at the end. Housing units only has 2 ramparts, where this one is down kind of the center, and this one is offset to the left. The housing units themselves are kind of a nightmare to get around in. There's actually a good amount of single gold blocks and single chests in this area. And down at the bottom is always a patch of soul sand with nether wart and a single chest. And this has 3 different variations that it can spawn as. I'll talk about those later. But there is a decent amount of loot down here, but it's really hard to navigate. A lot of piglins and hoglins, so you kind of want to avoid this spot entirely. Honestly, the reason why this bastion is the best in my mind of all the others is just this rampart alone. This rampart is the most consistent structure of any bastion structure. It spawns identical in every single housing unit every time. So up top there's this open triple chest structure, which is the same as in Bridge and Hogland Stables. And again, when you're up here, if you come to the front left, you can go down the stairways to get to the bottom of this rampart. And in housing, you'll see this kind of structure. There's a missing block here, and then you'll go down into the lower half structure. To the right is the fastest way to get to the 9 gold blocks buried here. To the left, this point I call the intersection point, which leads to pretty much all the good stuff in the bottom half of this bastion. So down here to the right, though, is the fastest way to get to the gold blocks. There are 9 gold blocks that spawn here every single time. I've never seen housing units that does not have these gold blocks spawn, and they spawn in this configuration every time as well. You will often hear lava down here at the bottom, but as long as you're standing on this level or higher, you won't dig into any lava, so you're fine, even though you hear it a lot. So piglins will aggro at you from above, so you do want to block yourself off. But if you dig this way, you'll dig into the double chest room, which I'll show you from the other side as well. But I usually dig along this line, and it's 1 to the left. So as long as you go along this line, and you at some point go 1 to the left on your path, you should arrive at this position. So there's a 1 block gap here where you can loot this chest, and piglins won't be able to attack you. You'll see them from here though, so it's pretty safe. And then I just dig this block and come up here. So This is, again, the intersection point right here. So going back up to the top all the way just to show you, coming at this from two different angles. This is the housing units. This is where you come down to this rampart. The fastest way to the gold blocks is down here, and then here's the intersection point. So again, another route to get to the gold blocks is through here, but we mined through here and got to the double chest right here. So this is the double chest room. So again, the intersection point kind of looks at everything. Down here is nothing. That's a dead end. Over here is a dead end. And up here is a reserve 3 gold blocks that I use on rare occasions. There's kind of a lot of piglins that like to stay up here, but these pig snouts do indicate 3 gold blocks up here. It's a little awkward to get to with all these guys, but there are 3 gold blocks here. I always forget where they are, honestly, and have to dig around, but I think they spawn 100% of the time as well. So that's just in case you need a little bit extra gold. But that's it for the bottom half of this rampart. That's pretty much every section. Let me show you the left rampart. The bottom half of the left rampart I would suggest never going into. Occasionally it does spawn 3 to 4 gold blocks. I'm not sure if it's 100% of the time, but it does actually have some gold here. It's just there's no way to get there. There's no stairs that lead down here. It's really awkwardly buried, so I would just avoid the bottom half of this, although there are gold blocks down there. The top half of this rampart can spawn in one of 3 different ways. It's either going to be a triple chest just like this one, so it's mirrored, it's the exact same, or it's going to be a hidden single chest, which you can kind of find from this pillar indicator as well, or nothing. So those are the 3 different options. In this one, it happened to spawn this hidden single chest, but I'll show you real quick the other 3 different variations of this. A lot of times you won't even use the left rampart. The triple chest from the other one and the double chest at the bottom is usually good enough. So this is the worst case scenario. You have the same triple chest up here, but there's actually nothing in this side. So you can see a line of basalt, and it's kind of a low top half of this rampart, but there's actually nothing in here at all. So you can only have 3 chests in this variation, and then the last variation is when you get the most lucky. You'll have 6 chests right next to each other up top. Really easy to loot, very convenient. So again, this is the bottom with the nether wart. This one's a little buried, but you can get the right half spawn triple and the left half spawn triple, and these ones are super easy to trade and loot up here. So yeah, we can talk about a little routing now. So housing units has a pretty flexible route. A lot of the times you'll recognize the structure from the low ground, and you'll be able to start. This is the ideal starting point right on the bottom of the staircase. Sometimes you'll approach it from the top, and you'll be in this top rampart with these 3 chests, which this could mean one of 3 different bastions. So I would usually come down here, go down the stairway, and right about here I would recognize that this is housing. These steps and especially this missing block will tell you that it's housing. You then just want to get to the gold and mine that as soon as possible. What I like to do is dig 2 down here, 1 above myself to protect myself, grab this one, maybe a couple, and then just mine this block right up here so that when piglins are aggroed on you, they can come down and start trading. So shout out to K4Y4 for giving me this idea. Before I would gather all the gold blocks and then start trading at the intersection, but now I think especially for a 2.5 or 2 minute bastion, you want to start trading absolutely as soon as possible. So I would start trading with a couple gold blocks here, grab the rest of these. As soon as you get to this point, there should be 3 gold blocks left. So I think it's probably best to block yourself off here, allow the piglins to come down even more into this wider gap, throw all of the gold that you've gathered right here, and then mine the rest of these 3, and then continue your way up to the top. These 3 gold blocks should give you enough to distract piglins and just toss gold around as you're going up to the top rampart. So usually there's a good amount, like 4 to 6 piglins or something, that will aggro and be trading in here. So I think putting most of your gold over there is actually probably a good idea. And then of course you'll come here, loot this chest. There might be piglins aggroed on you in this section, but again, you should have gold for these 3 gold blocks and potentially from here that you could just start throwing around. So you shouldn't really get hit by any piglins in here as long as you're throwing gold around the whole time. I would probably just avoid getting the 3 gold blocks up there if you're trying to go for a really fast bastion, because it's just going to take some extra time. But I would come up here, throw gold ingots as you're coming up, loot these 3 chests first, again throwing gold ingots before you loot them, and if you want to, you don't have to, but you can go over to the left rampart and get either that triple or single chest right away. And then you would come all the way back down. If for some reason your 9 gold blocks have not given you enough pearls, you come down here, you mine this and this and this, and you don't have enough pearls, then you can still salvage the run by coming up to the intersection points, coming up here. If you still have gold left over, you could throw it right here, and then just begin digging for the gold blocks over here. As kind of a last case scenario, but I wouldn't go for those unless you absolutely need to. So yeah, that's it for routing. So I know I've mentioned this a few times in this video already, but I think it's super important when you're starting to loot a bastion, you figure out which type it is right away so you can begin routing. A lot of these cases I'll run down this rampart stairway, and to verify that this is housing, I'll look for this missing block right here. This stairway is kind of similar in a lot of bastions, and I know this hallway kind of looks just like every other bastion interior, but every time I come down this stairway and I think it's housing, I double check for this missing block on the right. This is unique to housing units, and I just double check it every time to make sure that I know which structure I'm in, and then I can just start mining the gold blocks here. I haven't talked too much about how Piglin aggro works yet, so I'm going to do that in this video. I'm going to pull up my timer. I'm going to start this timer right after I mine this first gold block. So the way Piglin aggro timer works is if a Piglin is in range and they see you mine a gold block, open a chest, or use TNT with flint and steel on a gold block or a chest, they'll start a 30-second aggro timer on you. Try to attack you for 30 seconds. It's independent of Piglins, so it doesn't spread to other Piglins, and it's always 30 seconds from the first point when you start doing something that they don't like. So you see right at the 30-second mark, they de-aggroed. That's because this whole time when I was mining gold blocks and opening this chest, their aggro timer doesn't refresh and it doesn't spread to other Piglins. So it's convenient in this housing units because you can mine all this stuff, open this chest, and by the time you're done with your inventory management, all the Piglins that were aggroed on you will be de-aggroed. So just a little trick for that one. I'm going to open up a second world here because it would be a good video if I didn't show you how to do this with TNT. Of course, everybody loves TNT, so when you come down here, if you have a stone pick and TNT, like you did a village plus a desert temple run, which happens, I think approximately this configuration should get all of these gold blocks done. I would just do something like this, put TNT here. This may not get every single one, but you could do this in one TNT if you mine enough blocks. I think if you remove a couple, this one would also go, but you get the idea. This is one TNT-able. With a stone pick and TNT, this actually takes a little bit longer than an iron pick, so if you have an iron pick, I would just mine. But always use a button so you don't aggro Piglins. The very last thing I wanted to leave you with is this tip that would have saved me many runs, actually. Half the time you get into housing units, you will come in from the bottom and it'll be buried in nether. This is a huge problem with bastions, trying to figure out and orient yourself where you need to loot. It's the worst in housing units because there's no forced air blocks on the sides, so you can just be completely covered in netherrack in this interior and not know where to go. So I'm going to show you a little trick that I found using the soul sand. It can point you towards the ramparts that you want to start at. I've loaded up all of the bastion structures in a practice world, so I just have them here to go over. Again, there are 3 different configurations the soul sand netherwort can spawn at the bottom. It's either this one with a lot of netherwort, this one with barely any, and this one with a medium amount. All of these bottom structures are oriented pointing towards the tall rampart in this direction. The trick I've found is if you orient yourself with the longest line of soul sand on the right, you're always facing the rampart. So this one has 5 soul sands on the right side of this configuration, so that means the rampart is in front of me. This one has 4 soul sands connected on the right, so rampart's in front of me, and this one has 6 soul sands connected in a row So again, pointing towards the ramparts. So just to show you this works, go back to this world. Yeah, so this one we have the 4 soul sand, and so the rampart is going to be ahead. The soul sand almost always points directly towards the double chest room, actually, because the rampart is in the center. So all you need to do is follow the soul sand and go up 3 blocks, and that should get you to the double chest room. So here it's pretty obvious. Sometimes it's covered in more netherrack, but yeah, this would have saved a lot of my runs, because a lot of the times I come in here and you just have no idea which way you're going. So the soul sand always points to the double chest room. So that's it for tips and tricks. Hope you guys enjoyed, and good luck looting housing.